Coming up today, connected across continents. One man found his life-saving match halfway around the world. Good morning, I'm Jessica Lovell, and welcome to the Morning Medical Update. When you need a bone marrow or stem cell transplant, a search begins. But where do you find a donor? The search often starts with your family, and sometimes you can be your own donor. But some people end up searching, like Todd Dunlop did, for a donation from anyone, anywhere.
I'm so impatient. I wanted everything like right now, and so I actually invited myself to Germany.
Todd Dunlop likes to travel, but Germany was nowhere on his bucket list. Yet, he'll make the trek there 3 times this year.
I'm here because of you two.
To see this woman.
I'm fine, thank you.
Because they share something pretty unique. An immune system.
I was super happy to get that opportunity to help someone.
I started to lose energy, and I went into the hospitals, my doctors, urgent cares, and they all diagnosed me with lung issues.
It wasn't his lungs.
The day after Christmas, went in, got my test. They came back and said, hey, you need to get into the hospital like right now. Your white blood cells are off the charts.
Todd learned the devastating news.
They told me I had leukemia.
Acute myeloid leukemia, a rare blood cancer typically caused by a gene mutation.
They said, we need to get you to a center that can treat you because we cannot treat you at this hospital. We don't have the resources.
He was transferred to the University of Kansas Cancer Center, where he met with Dr. Joseph McGurk and his team, who needed to act fast. After failed chemo treatment, Todd was told he would need a bone marrow transplant. The National Bone Marrow Donor Database led them to Zelia Lerv in Germany.
They just asked, do you want to help someone? I was like, yeah, sure. When, where, what do I have to do?
And just like that, Zelia donated her cells, and they were off to the United States to be transferred to Todd.
I got a letter from her, and so I read that letter. Actually, I kept that letter beside my bed for the 7 months I was in the hospital, you know, and I read it every single day.
And as soon as he could, Todd jumped at the chance and jumped on a plane to Germany.
I was so nervous and so emotionally charged that I didn't watch anything. I didn't sleep. I was just sitting there looking at the seat in front of me, you know, just thinking about, you know, the opportunity that I had, because I'd waited over 2 years to get a chance to meet her.
Soon, it was Todd's chance to host Zelia for her first trip to the United States, where they hit Kansas City, New York, and New Orleans.
I've never been to America, so just do whatever you think it's cool to do or what we have to see. So when he came first to Germany, it was my part to plan this trip, and he said, I don't know, do whatever you want. So it was my schedule, so now I said, it's your schedule, do it.
Come to find out, they have more than cells in common.
Fries are our favorite food, you know. There's a lot of similarities that we found that are really interesting. Our bond goes a lot deeper than I think even we kind of realized.
A new life and friendship to be continued. And we do want to thank Todd for sharing his story of AML and building this really cool special friendship with his donor, Celia. Here in studio with me are 2 folks who helped connect Todd and his donor. Dr. Joseph McGurk, of course, is back. He is Division Director of Hematologic Malignancies and Cellular Therapeutics for the University of Kansas Cancer Center. Mindy Allen, across from me, is Lead Blood and Marrow Transplant Coordinator for the health system. They represent a much, much larger group of doctors and nurses and other healthcare workers who stay very busy with blood and marrow transplant. So welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Dr. McGurk, it's actually surprising to many perhaps that it's pretty common for a donor and a recipient to be connected from different continents, correct?
Yes, actually quite common, particularly Western Europe. Other areas of the world as well, and we've had donors from around the globe, but principally Western Europe.
Because this is a very, very large worldwide database that we're choosing from. Mindy, this is actually our 2nd episode to highlight a case where the donor was from Germany. Is that one of the more frequent countries where we find international donors, and why is that?
Yeah, absolutely. We get a lot of donors from Germany, a lot from Western Europe, but with our partnership with NMDP, it's pretty seamless to get one from anywhere, stateside and all over the world.
Is it because people in Germany are just really great at donating, or is there something about the donors in Germany?
I think so. I think they're committed, and it's part of the culture to do that act of service.
Well, let's meet one of those wonderful people in that active service, Celia. We're talking live with her this morning, joining us all the way from Germany. I would say good morning, but actually good afternoon to you. Where are you in Germany?
Good morning. I'm in Frankfurt. That's pretty much in the middle of Germany.
Well, so glad to have you with us today. What compelled you to sign up to be a donor? And when did you sign up?
So I signed up in 2014. My ex-boyfriend's little cousin had leukemia, and I signed up to help him. I tried to help him.
So you had this personal experience, and that was back many years ago. And then when did you finally get that call? And what was that call like?
So the call came in January 2022. It was crazy. I never expected to get a call. I updated our organization with my new phone number and my new address, but it was a surprise to get this call, and it was super exciting.
Well, I've heard that before, that people do this kind of on a whim. Oftentimes they do it maybe to help, or they do it because there's maybe a drive, and they swipe and swab and send it in, and then they forget about it, and then they get this call just kind of randomly, and it's really quite amazing. They get the call to save someone's life. What was going through your mind?
So I never expected. So I was just super happy to be able to donate, or eventually donate. And I was kind of proud to be someone who can donate. Yeah, it was just super exciting.
Yeah, you should be proud. You should be proud. People might wonder, do you ever learn much about in the moment who you're donating to?
No. You know nothing. So you get some kind of information like the country, the age, and if it's a male or a female after you donate, but that's it. You don't know anything more.
But you've got to be wondering, who is this person that's going to be getting my cells? And so you knew enough, though, to write this letter to Todd. So you didn't know it at the time, but Todd said that he read that letter that you sent him every day in the hospital. Tell us a little bit about what you wrote to him.
So I immediately called him my twin brother, because we share the same cells now. And other than that, I just said I'm a regular person who was given the chance to do what I hope every human being would do for someone in need, and that I'm proud of him, and that he's a great fighter, and that I hope that he will get healthy soon.
I have to ask both of you sitting here, how cool is it to know that you do this every day, but you're connecting two people who now call each other brother and sister? Mindy, what's that like to know that the work you do is connecting two people across the globe?
I mean, that's one of the big satisfiers that helps keep me doing this every day, is being able to hear stories like that. They're so uplifting. And what we do is really stressful and hard, and we see a lot of bad outcomes, but things like this is it's amazing.
Dr. McGurk?
Yes, absolutely. This is it's the cream, the icing on the cake, and it's fantastic. And telling these stories, and we do this with our team on a weekly basis at meetings. We show pictures of patients in long-term follow-up, their family members, their donors are with them. And it lifts the entire team up, and it sustains us.
Right, and we hope telling stories like this is what encourages other people to sign up to be a donor, hoping to get that call to save a life. Dr. McGurk, though, I do want to back up and understand Todd's diagnosis. What is AML, and then how does a transplant ultimately help?
Yes, absolutely. AML, or acute myelogenous leukemia, is the most common form of acute leukemia in adults, and it's relatively rare compared to other cancers. But that being said, there are almost 20,000 people a year who are diagnosed with acute myelogenous leukemia in the United States. These are caused by genetic abnormalities, not necessarily that's inherited, actually usually not. And it causes the bone marrow to give rise to immature cells that aren't doing any good, and destroy all the other blood cells that are trying to do some good for the patient. And so a standard treatment, and one of the most effective therapies, and a potentially curative therapy, is a bone marrow transplant. And so we give patients very intensive chemotherapy, as was the case with Todd, with the hopes that we destroy all their leukemia cells, but also we have to destroy their immune system, because the donor's immune system needs not to have another immune system to compete when we transfuse them into patients. They can. And so we go to great lengths with our medications to help avoid that fight after transplant.
So, Mindy, we talk a lot about, we talk a lot about organ transplant, or now we're talking about blood marrow transplant. So how does the search for this donor begin? Is it often the same? Are you starting with a family? How does kind of take us into that strategy of finding the right donor for these patients?
Well, we want to begin that search just as soon as we possibly can. So we're often going down the route of searching family members and donors from the registry at the same time. We want to be ready with plan A, B, and C. So we're talking with family members. We're looking on the registry. We're trying to identify full matches, either when we see them at that first patient consultation or when they get diagnosed and we hear about them in the hospital.
Are you starting ahead of time before
Absolutely.
you know if they will need one or not? You're always planning ahead?
Yes, because there may be different situations where they don't need a transplant up front, but they might down the road if they don't respond well to current therapy, or they don't need one right now, but there's going to be a time where they progress and we need to go quickly, and that window of opportunity can be very tight.
And is this a situation where you need 100% match?
Not necessarily. We do a lot of half-match transplants in our program, and we can be very successful with those.
And when you need 100%, how difficult is that to find?
Well, so if you have a full sibling, say mother and father, there's only a 25% chance that that sibling is going to be a full match to you. When we're looking on the registry, it depends on ethnicity a lot, but like a white Western European patient is going to have maybe a 70% chance or higher of having a full match, but that statistic of finding a full match goes down based on ethnicity.
All right, and this is kind of why we're doing the show. So anyone watching can learn more about signing up to be a stem cell or marrow donor by checking out this website that you see here on your screen. It used to be called Be the Match. Now it is called NMDP, the National Marrow Donor Program. Dr. McGurk, signing up on the website, of course, doesn't guarantee that you'll be contacted to be a donor, but who are those ideal donors?
Young donors who are well matched are the optimal donor. There are certain other variables that we look at, their infection history, what virus they've been exposed to, what their blood type is and such. But that match of the immune systems is most important, and over the last several years we've discovered that the younger donors are much preferred in terms of good outcomes that we're looking for than older donors. As a matter of fact, people my age aren't even allowed to stand in line to be a donor.
Nor am I. People my age can't do it either, Dr. McGurk. Okay, so you actually can't. What's the age limit again?
It's 40 years of age now. Is that correct, Mindy?
To sign up 40, and that might be lower in the future.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Good to know. As we mentioned off the top of the program, international donation is quite common. Mindy, how is an international donation coordinated? I mean, what do these phone calls look like? How quickly does it have to happen?
Well, for our perspective, it feels just as seamless as a domestic donation. That international donor has a workup specialist that they talk to that coordinates all of their appointments. They get their medical clearance done close to home, and they do their donation close to home as well. So in the end, we've got a volunteer courier who will travel alongside those collected stem cells all the way to our center and bring them to us when we're ready to receive them.
So there are two methods for donation: stem cells taken from the blood, or marrow collection from the bone. And we're going to show some video of some footage from a bone marrow harvest, which requires an operating room. Mindy, are marrow harvests harder to coordinate since they do involve an OR team?
A little bit, just in the sense that the OR space and the anesthesia time is harder to come by. So those take a little bit more time to coordinate. Sometimes we can't get them immediately.
Celia, what was your donation process like? Were your cells taken from your blood? Tell us a little bit about your experience.
Yeah, so at first I had an appointment with a doctor, and I got a little checkup if I'm healthy enough and that I'm fit enough to donate. And 5 days before the actual donation, I got 2 injections per day to increase the cell count, I think. And on the actual donation date, I was just laying there with one needle on the right hand and one on the left hand, and they took my blood. Yeah, so I was just laying there for 6 hours and listened to podcasts and some music.
Was it painful at all, or pretty painless?
No, so the injections, I felt a little sore, like I would have a cold or something. So my body and ankles were just hurting a little. But other than that, I felt good.
Well, be sure to ask your questions. You can use the chat on YouTube or Facebook. You can email the Medical News Network. That information is right there on your screen. Okay, Celia, tell us a little bit about this meeting with Todd, because I mean, he was like a kid, like waiting to go to Disneyland. I mean, this guy could not wait to get to see you and hug you and meet you. So tell us about that first meeting when you saw him and when he got to see you.
Yeah. So I was at the airport and I was super nervous to see him. We talked for a little bit before. So we have contact since March and he came in June. So I was super excited, or we both couldn't wait to see each other. And then he came around the corner and it was just amazing to see him in person and to finally hug him. So I think we were both like little kids and we were just super happy.
Well, and I want to, if you don't mind, just go back to those photos, because you guys actually planned this little photo shoot. And
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what went into that decision, because it was pretty special, it looks.
Yeah. So we wanted to do something special to my birthday. And then we came up with the idea to just do a little photo shoot, a professional one. And it was an amazing day. So we had so much fun, and even the photographer said she never had such a special story to tell, and yeah, it was great.
So tell us about your trip to the United States. It was your first trip, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about it. What was a big standout for you?
So I've never been to the United States before, and I think Todd wanted to make it an amazing trip. So we visited New York and New Orleans and, of course, Kansas City. But I think my highlight was to just meet his family and his friends. It was just so good to see him with his boys, and we had a lot of fun with them.
Was there anything, what was the big standout in the, when you came to the United States? Was there anything that you had kind of seen or thought about that you finally got to see in New York City? Or did you try some Kansas City barbecue? Or what was like, what was the big highlight?
Yeah, I think we did a lot of touristic stuff, and I always wanted to go to New York. So I can check this off my list. It was great to see that. And I'm a big musical fan, so he surprised me with going to the musical Wicked, and that was great.
Oh, that's so great. I love that. I love that. Dr. McGurk, just how cool is it that they have this connection?
It's the coolest. It's the epitome of what our team does.
It is. It is. This is kind of like, this is why you love to see this, right? You meet somebody like Todd when he comes in, and it's kind of dire straits, and then
yes, absolutely.
And then you get to see this big moment.
Yes, that's absolutely right. Every patient we take care of, their life is on the line, and in relatively short order. So it's very dramatic. Years later, to see them, it's you're just in awe when they come to clinic.
I want to talk about something too. We know there's a racial disparity for people seeking a donor on the registry. According to the NMDP, white patients have a 79% chance of finding a matched donor, but there is a significant drop when looking for matches of other races. 48% for Hispanic patients, 47% for Asian and Pacific Islanders, just 29% for Black patients. Mindy, help us translate those statistics. How do you find matches when it comes to people of color?
Well, first of all, I'll say our program has a lot of experience with half-match family member transplants, so we've always kind of got that option in our back pocket if we strike out finding a matched sibling or finding a full match on the registry. But there's been a lot of really exciting advancements that I've seen happen over the years in transplant. One of them is, you know, the advances that NMDP is making in really trying to recruit more ethnically diverse people on the registry and get those statistics up. And another one is improvements in using mismatched donor transplants. So if we can find a donor that is nearly a perfect match, instead of being a perfect match, like off by one, then that will increase their statistic chance of finding an acceptable donor across the board to nearly 90% for all races.
And your team recently honored with the NMDP Service Award for going above and beyond. In a specific case, a baby needing a transplant. The bone marrow donation was set up in Texas, but hurricane there changed those plans. Tell us about that story.
Yeah, that was something else. It was like the middle of July last year, and Hurricane Beryl was coming to Texas. We heard about this case from the NMDP that they urgently needed to move a harvest, and asking if our center could help out. The harvest was in 2 days, and that baby had already been prepped and received chemotherapy, so they needed to get those stem cells on time. Our donor coordinator, Haley Hammer, she just pulled out all the stops to arrange things as quickly as possible, and I was in awe of how quick she pulled it off. In one day, we had 3 physicians volunteer to do the case. We had an OR scheduler who moved mountains in order to get us that coveted first case spot in the OR, and then we had cell processing staff who just acted like it was no big deal, just took it all in stride, and they are just so dedicated. So we pulled it off.
Well, we always talk up Dr. McGurk, but when you sat down today, you were like, Mindy, this is where it's at. You sing the praises of her and her team, and this is probably why, right?
Absolutely correct.
All right, I want to get to some questions from our viewers today. Jeremy says, it's like, it seems to make sense that just younger donors, would be good, but he wants to know, why are younger donors so much preferred? I would have thought if you had donors of all ages and that just favored using the younger donations, then there would be more match options, or do just younger donations have a much higher success rate?
Younger donors definitely are associated with a much higher success rate. We have clear-cut data across the board in using young donors. As a matter of fact, we'll sometimes choose one of those mismatched donors even if we have a perfect match. If that perfect match is older, in their 50s, versus a 20-year-old, that 20-year-old who's mismatched may be preferable to the older matched donor. And the complexities of why that's the case are really based on the immune system and exposure to things in our environment, and how trained is our immune system in recognizing other immune systems and bacteria and fungi and infections, etc. And as we get older, our immune system is more and more and more in tune of being reactive against things that might cause us harm. And that serves us well. But when we do a transplant, that older immune system may be a little more feisty against becoming engrafted, and once engrafted, avoiding a process called graft versus host disease, which is a common complication after these transplants.
I like it, feisty. That's what you call it when we get a little older. You call us feisty.
That's right.
I like that. Stu wants to know, what does a transplant mean for the recipient's DNA? And I like this. How does it impact things like a 23andMe test?
Yes, right. Well, so if you undergo a transplant from Celia, and Celia goes and commits a crime, robs a bank, she can say, it wasn't me, it was Todd Dunlop.
Perfect.
And say, just check his blood and you'll see it matches the DNA.
See, it pays to swab.
That's right.
It pays to get your swab done.
So the immune system of the recipient completely changes that of the donor. If the donor has seasonal allergies and the recipient doesn't, they're going to have seasonal allergies. And the blood type changes to that of the donor. And if somebody took a blood sample with blindfold on, which would be an awful thing in and of itself, from Todd, they would think Todd was a female.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Does it have any, they said that they both love French fries. Does it go as deep as that? They both like the same kind of things?
I'm not
little,
sure
little nuances that they found that they like, little things?
I'm not sure that anybody's delved into the genetics of that. But
these are the testing I need you to do, Dr. McGurk, okay? This is the real intense stuff, okay, that is really important to know. Okay, question. Stuart wants to know, does our immune system attack someone else's donated cells even if it's a perfect match?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there are many molecules called minor histocompatibility antigens, which is a mouthful, but they're molecules that are also important in the immune system, but we don't have the resolution and the knowledge to use those molecules. So even after a transplant with a perfect match, unrelated donor or sibling, patients can still reject the graft, or the graft can attack the patient and cause this graft-versus-host disease problem.
He also wants to know, when can someone be their own donor? When does that make sense?
Those are for specific diseases, such as a different type of cancer called non-Hodgkin's lymphomas, multiple myeloma, Hodgkin's disease. These are other diseases where we really, it's very different. Allogeneic stem cell transplant using somebody else as a donor is an organ transplant. That's a complex organ, and we're changing out immune systems. Using your own stem cells is really just taking stem cells, moving them out of harm's way, giving intensive chemotherapy to kill the cancer, and then rescuing the collateral damage to the bone marrow by reinfusing these stem cells we had previously collected.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay, Celia, Marie wants to know, when you and Todd first saw each other, other than kind of this bond that you guys had via text and phone calls, when you saw each other, was there kind of like this weird physical connection? Like when you saw each other, was there like, oh my gosh, like you said, kind of this brother-sister thing happening? Was there like this really kind of weird connection?
That's hard to say, because we text or talk every day, so this connection we have got stronger and stronger every day. It just feels like we know each other for always. It's like I can't imagine a life without him, and it never felt weird to be with him.
So what's next? Is he coming out to Germany again? Does he have another trip planned? I think he does, doesn't he?
I hope. I don't know yet, but I want to come to the United States again. So hopefully in September I'll be back and we can see each other in person.
Is he speaking German yet?
Oh, no. He tried really hard, but no.
Okay. He's trying. He's just not very successful. Well, he's a great guy. He's a great guy. And next time we check in on you guys, we hope to have him join us as well. I know he couldn't be with us this morning, but we hope to have you both back on. So we wish you both well. Hopefully you get back over here to the States soon. And we thank you for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you so much. I want to get our takeaways today. What's the big takeaway from our conversation?
I really want to thank Silja and all of our donors. It's such like an honor to be able to work with these. Truly, they're heroes to me, and they're so humble, and it's so just uplifting to my heart to be able to meet these people and to be able to help them in any way. And I really, our patients, for them to trust us with their care, it means a lot to me. I would want them to all feel like they're treated like family.
And what's your message to folks who are thinking about possibly becoming a donor, and just how simple it is to get their swab?
It's so easy, and if you're not 18 to 40, you know an 18 to 40-year-old, so get them on there.
Get them on there. Dr. McGurk, what's the big takeaway today?
Ethnically diverse young people. We need you. Celia is an example of what your donation can do and change somebody's life radically, change the world for the better. And we need people of African American descent, Hispanic American descent, mixed race cultures, Native Americans, etc., to please ante up, get in the registry, because there's a pretty darn good chance you're going to save somebody's life.
All right, great. Thank you so much for being here with us. We appreciate all of our guests, and we thank all of our viewers for being with us today. In honor of the Kansas City Royals starting off their season, we will leave you today with some photos from the very tiniest baseball fans here in the hospital. Coming up Monday on the Morning Medical Update. After seeking a liver transplant for years, Glenda Meeker finally got one, only to need another one. I'm Jessica Lovell on the next Morning Medical Update. Life on, then off, then back on the transplant list. How doctors overcame complications to get Glenda back in good health. Monday at 8.
Subscribe to our Morning Medical Update and Open Mics with Dr. Stites podcasts. Now, everywhere podcasts are available.